Today is January 31st, and this is Gold Robotics. So we're not working today because we had a competition last Saturday, and so we said we'd take today off and then hit it hard for the rest of the next 3 weeks. So anyways, but we did want to recap what happened at competition because there's a lot of changes, especially like in our strategy and stuff, and then also why we're making those changes. So we'll start with Reese's stuff because mine's gonna be a long thing.
Yeah.
So
Alrighty, so let me get my backpack off my robot. Anyways, my robots, I realized that there is some problems. One thing is consistency of conveyor belt. It's not that good, so I'm gonna stay with a conveyor belt and the flaps design and everything. I have a new design in mind where the conveyor belt runs on top and the rings run underneath it on a plexiglass ram. A lot less friction. Hoping with that reduction of friction, I can go to a turbo motor, do 600 RPMs and just shoot that thing up. And then also, I saw at last competition that rings were more consistently scored if you didn't have a top thing and you just stopped it at an angle. So, and to do that, you have to have your back lift hold a base at an angle, exactly perpendicular to the angle of your conveyor belt. And so that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to switch out my back lift for a piston activated tilt lift that will make it perpendicular to my current angle, to my angle of my conveyor belts. And then the next thing we're going to do is try to gear up our front lift. So I'm not gear it up because we want to make it faster. We want to make it faster with one motor. See if we can get away with going down to the one smaller gear, and to help it out with getting up like the toggle and stuff, we're planning on adding a bunch of rubber bands. That's going to be testing later in the future. And then we want a more forgiving front end effector. So we're probably going to have a group people while I'm working on the conveyor belt stuff and the backlift stuff, trying to figure out a new end effector design. But that's all my changes from a robot that I think I should be able to get done in my 3 weeks.
So that's on 2002X. That's on that bot. On the other bot is more of a sad story.
It is a sad story.
All year our goal has been to score rings on the toggle, and we did our goal. Like first competition, we went and we scored rings on the toggle, and it was awesome. And I was like, all right, now it's time to make this more consistent, more like a strategy, right? So we worked from like a whole bunch from December all the way through January, just trying to get this thing going. We bumped it up to a 6-motor drivetrain. We had like ratchets going on. Like it was like, oh, this is gonna work, right? And it almost did. The thing that I saw, we went to competition, right, and our chain popped a few times, and I ended up fixing it. But the main thing was at the beginning in auton, if we wanted to get it consistent, we would have to put the sprocket up in the air. Where we lift up the chain, we'd have to fix that before we move. And while that would have been like cool to score the toggle and stuff, just that few extra seconds in autonomous is so pivotal to the rest of the match, to where if you don't get a goal or if you don't at least challenge for the goal, it makes it so hard to win it, especially since we're scoring the toggle, so we need to get the toggle in the first
15 seconds.
First 15 seconds, yeah. And also, we just realized that it's something that would have really been cool, but it was time that we kind of conformed to the meta. So we are doing a complete rebuild, which is kind of sad because it feels like you lost all your progress, but this is the 4th complete rebuild, so I'm kind of getting used to it. But on the other hand, it's a little bit of a fresh start. So I won't look at it that way. Knowing me, I spent all weekend coming up with plans and designs, something to give us a little bit of an advantage, other than just having an awesome driver. And Audie drove awesome this weekend at competition. We didn't talk about how we did. Yeah, Audie got the top driver skills run at the competition, so that was the big thing. That was like really awesome. And then we also made it to semifinals. 20,002X and 20,002Y alliance with each other, and we went to the semifinals, but we lost against the dude who ended up winning the game. So, anyways, it was a good match though. But 20,002X still needs a state spot, and
20,002Y.
yes, that's what I meant. Sorry, didn't mean it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
really hurt my pride there for a second.
20,002Y still needs a state spot, and so we're just gonna throw all the stuff at it. Pretty much, we're gonna try to get it with skills, mainly, like not have to rely on the luck of the tournament, because a lot of times it boils down to your matches and quals. Although a lot of it's just how good your bot is and how much experience you have, and we've built up our experience as we've driven, and I think by the time we get there, we can win the tournament. I definitely believe that we can. But on the other hand, we need a bot that can win. And right now, where the bot's at, it's not one that's, the strategy just isn't there right now. So
more of a hindrance than a help.
It's more of a hindrance. We're wasting one motor. We realized how important it is to score the rings, the alliance goal rings, because in finals it was just everyone could score rings, and so at the end it was like, well, we can't compete with that amount of points, because you can't always steal your opponent's alliance goals that early. So Reese is making his conveyor belt more consistent, and then I'm doing a total rework of the bot. Now, that isn't to say, when I say I'm conforming to the meta, that isn't to say that I am doing what everybody else is. I still got a little bit of Bobby in it. So the whole principle of this, okay, so the good thing about doing a late season rebuild is, I mean, I know it's like kind of stressful and pressure, but one, you're not attached to any part of your bot, so it's like, oh, but we've had that for so long, or oh, I don't want to go back and mess with the drivetrain because then I have to fix this, then I have to fix this. None of that. We get to start from scratch. That's the good thing. As well as, we've seen so many bots by now that we know what's best, or we know at least what wins games. And so, we know what to kind of make it, our end goal is. One of the big things that we need to change is make a better end effector, because while in tournaments we see a lot of people with similar end effectors as us, if we can, I've seen other YouTube videos online, and it's like, okay, this end effector is pretty nice.
I came up with that end effector all by my own.
No, it's a good end effector, and like no by means like has it not worked. It's done us really good justice, and we've gone through a couple different versions of it.
Yeah.
But I think there is some upgrades that we can do to make it to where it's foolproof and it can have a little bit more error to it, and so it can be the quickest one we have.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Now, okay, so I'll tell y'all the little Bobby advantage that I'm going to put in my bot, right? So the conveyor belt only needs to spin one way, right? So as it's going one direction, that will power the conveyor belt. The motor, when it's going the other direction, it will help support the upwards motion of the lift. And so that way we can make our tall lift faster by ratcheting off of that motor and then adding more motor power to that tall lift. And so we can go for a lower gear ratio, or high, I don't know, a gear ratio that's going to be more beneficial to us.
Faster gear ratio.
A faster gear ratio. And because a lot of times in skills, it's not waiting on, how fast we're getting there, because we're keeping our 6-motor drivetrain geared up. And so we get there, and it's just waiting for that lift to get up. And it's like, if we can get that up really quick, then we're going to have so much an advantage in matches and in skills. That's going to be crazy. Also, I said this before that we were going to put track wheels on, but we ended up running out of time. That wasn't as much of a priority. Now it is a very much priority, because we need that. We need to be confident that we're going with skills at least. So those track wheels are going to really help with programming skills as far as seeing how far we travel. And if we have enough time, we'll put 2 on and do the odometry stuff. It's where you can like kind of map out the whole field with a coordinate system. Yeah, I drew out blueprints and.
Your connected drivetrain.
Oh yeah. Okay. So another problem is we couldn't climb the ramp. Okay, but I think two things that I'm gonna do to make sure we can climb the ramp. One is me and Reese and just the whole Gold Robotics team. How we build is usually we build pretty heavy, like and not that that's a bad thing, but this year we're trying to go up something. So it might be better if we build a little bit lighter, as well as if we can connect all the gears in our drivetrain. Then that means that if some aren't touching the ground, we can still have all the power of the motors on one, distributed evenly, or not so evenly among the wheels. So you can put more power in the back, put more power wherever it needs to be. So, because being able to climb is also very important. I'm just getting tired. So pretty much it's going to be a long 3 weeks, but we'll get through it. And we'll be ready for the competition. So, yeah. And also, we got some footage from the competition that we might put on there. I haven't showed you yet. We got some footage.
Okay.
And so if we find any good matches that we want to put on there, we'll put them on the channel. So, anyways, this is Gold Robotics, and we'll see y'all next time.